Here's your Backstage pass.
Quiet on the set.
Action!
Welcome to Sedona's Backstage Pass with Shondra, presented by the Dog Group. This is your inside look into culture, curators, and creative artists. And now, your host, Shondra.
Hi, everybody. Thank you. Welcome, my VIPs. You've got your Backstage Pass, and you are in. Get ready for some behind-the-scenes stories. Let me tell you, got some good ones today. You'd never know about these individuals unless you tune in here every Saturday at 10 a.m. to Sedona's Backstage Pass. We're live. And it's Saturday at 10 a.m., KAZM 106.5 FM and 780 a.m. And, of course, streaming on mellowmountainradio.com live. Okay, so you can do that. And of course, remember, if you miss a show and you want to go back and listen to that particular show you missed, or any of the shows in the past 17 weeks, which is hard for me to believe already, you can find them on mellowmountainradio.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify is coming up soon. I think we're now on Pandora, iHeartRadio, Amazon, YouTube, and SiriusXM podcasts. So it's a lot of fun, and you're going to find us there. And if you don't find us there, we will be there very soon. Now, I want to let you know what's going on around town, and I like to do this in the beginning of my show. For those of you who are coming into Sedona, and also for those of us who live here, it's important. You know, we want to support all of the organizations that put on events and, of course, live music. So I'm going to get to that in a second. But those of you who know Sedona, especially those who live here, know that August in Sedona is pretty quiet with the signature events. There's not a lot going on. But let me tell you, in about 3 weeks, we're going to have all of those events coming up. And if you want to know what's happening during this time, just visit the Greater Sedona Chamber of Commerce calendar of events page. I'll tell you, it's super easy to get to. You just go visit sedona.net/calendar. And there you're going to find out about all the fun weekly things that are going on. Like, for instance, the library here is fantastic, or Sedona International Film Festival that has wonderful movies all the time, indie films and also movies on the move. It's just great, wonderful stuff. And Sedona Arts Center. But let's talk about live music. Live music is happening in Sedona. Some people don't think it is, but it is. For instance, PJ's Village Pub in the village of Oak Creek. They have a wonderful sports bar. I should say they are a sports bar. And they serve food and wonderful drinks, of course, and the big screens and live music, like my dear friend Sammy Davis, who is there, and he's absolutely fabulous. He's there often. Then, if you like a different kind of music, instead of rock, pop, classic rock, that kind of stuff, you could visit for some good old-fashioned flamenco music. You could go to the courtyard right outside of Tlaquepaque's El Rincon restaurant on Mondays and Tuesdays, like, for instance, this Monday coming up, and this Tuesday, August 25th and 26th from 5:30 to 7:30, you could take in Gaetano and Friends. And they're fabulous. Patrick Key's in that group, by the way, and Patrick's going to be on the show at another time. Not today, but you have to listen for that one. It's a good one. He's going to be on. It's going to be fun. All right. Also, Vino de Sedona has live music almost every night. They're in West Sedona. And speaking of vino, for you wine lovers, there's a lot of live music at Oak Creek Brewing. Always has weekly live music. And, of course, if those of you who want to make music, like you're a singer, you want to be a singer, and you like to do karaoke, they even have karaoke on Tuesday nights from 8 to 11 p.m. And then, of course, Alcantara Winery, they have live music. And they are right off of Page Springs Road, I believe. No, I take it back. They're right off of the highway. That's right. Right off the highway. It's all good. So there you have it. Live music in Sedona. And I'm getting really excited now. Why? Because I have one of my sponsors with me today. It's Luke Sefton of Sefton Engineering with some great stories. I just know it. I just can feel it. It's so wonderful to have you. Your stories blow my mind, man. I mean, really, it's like I'm going to get like all 70s. It blows my mind. You have this background that a lot of people don't know about. The first time you were on Sedona's Backstage Pass,
Yep.
you talked about a little bit about your family's business.
Yep. I grew up in the funeral home business. My dad had a funeral home, and we lived above it.
Which into itself is got to be, were you frightened as a child?
No. It was just part of it. You know, I understood death, and, you know, even as a young age, and saw a lot of things. And it was, I would help out as, we would have to vacuum or clean or.
Wow. It's just, and I know that you're very, it's very natural for you. The only thing that I can think of that would be like that for me is my dad was a dentist. So going to the dentist where everyone is really flipped out just kind of feels normal and natural.
Yeah.
Right? Not that big of a deal. But this is a little worse than that in the way that people have real fear about death, and you grew up with it all around you.
Yeah. Yes.
What was that like? Your friends, we talked about a little bit about this. Your friends had to be a little
they were
flipped
always
out.
a little nervous about coming over to the house or whatever. But, I would go in and see, my dad would be embalming, and I would sit on the chair there, but he would have a towel over the body, but it was not, it was just the way we, it was just our daily life and stuff. And dealt with that.
For those of you listening, and I can imagine some of you are really uncomfortable right about now, but it is part of living, and there are people too, the people that have to do this job or choose to do this job. They are human beings that are dealing with stuff. I can imagine that you've had a little bit of PTSD about that sort of stuff. Am I right?
Yes. I mean, you deal with a lot of casualties, a lot of tragedies, and you're dealing with people at their worst time of their life.
Yes.
But you see their true character, I would say. You'll see somebody that absolutely is devastated, but they're worried about everybody else.
Oh, yes.
And then you have other people that, it's a elderly parent, and they're just, demanding on everything. And it's like, I'm dealing with somebody who lost their child.
Yeah, you have to remember.
In the other room.
Yeah.
And that was one of them. Was when I was a kid, there was a neighborhood little girl that died. And her brother comes up and is shaking her. And I'm like 6 years old.
Oh, no.
And I look up my dad and I said, doesn't he know she's in heaven?
Oh, God, Luke.
So,
okay, you're making you're making my engineer cry, Ryan.
Yeah.
He's like tearing up. I could see you through the window. I'm looking at Chuck Helstein, who is, while he's working, is tearing up. Yes, easy to see through the window. Me too. Yep. This is rough stuff. So now let's kind of get into some interesting things here. So you decide not to go into the business. I know that from the first show. And then you do end up working while you're at Fort Wayne.
Just down
Indiana.
the road from where my dad was. But this was the largest funeral home in Indiana at the time.
Okay.
We did about 1,500 calls a year.
Whoa.
And I worked nights from 5 p.m. to 8 a.m. And this was an old building, 2 old Victorian homes that they built together.
Okay.
So they had to build a lot of false walls, and there were switches everywhere to turn off the lights and everything. And this is a little funny of a story.
So that's what I want to segue into that, because we were kind of getting in the modeling thing.
Yeah.
Right? It was like a little sad for this show. But I have to say, even in a situation like that, there are some behind the scenes stories. And one of them is you scared somebody really badly.
Pretty close to death.
You were a bad boy.
Yes.
And you were not a child. Well, you might have been in your mind at 19 or 20, but you weren't a kid.
Nope.
And you pulled a fast one on someone. Tell us about that.
So when visitation's over in the evenings, we have to shut everything down, and we were in a bad part of town, so we have to move the vehicles up, and we're called students. So the other student, I said, you go turn off the lights and I'll move the cars. Came back in, he hasn't turned the lights off. And he goes, well, I don't remember where they're at. And I go, okay. And I'm going through, here's this light switch, this light switch. And he's not paying attention. So we get in where all the caskets are, the display room, and he's not paying attention. So I hit the lights off, and I duck in behind a false wall and go to the other end that he didn't know. And so it's pitch black. I lay down on the ground. He's in there going, Luke, I can hear you. And he's freaking himself out,
Right.
So up the back stairways comes another person. and I thought maybe it was the embalmer or the night manager was doing something. And so I reach out and grab him on his ankle.
Oh my God.
And, you hear people you scare, and this was a blood curdling, I'm going to die scare. Scream. And it's completely pitched. And so he's sitting there screaming, and he had some folders in his hand.
Oh, geez.
And so he's screaming, and I'm like getting up. I'm now standing up. I'm telling him to calm down, and he's not. So he stops screaming, and I stop at the same time. And he takes the paper, and he waves it in front of him, and he hits me with it. And he just went over screaming again.
Oh, my gosh.
Now there's something there.
Not knowing that, and he can't hear that it's you.
Well, yeah, because he's so screaming. And so I turned the lights on, and it was the insurance salesman coming in at like midnight to do some paperwork or something.
Oh, my God.
Oh, it went from I'm going to die scream to yelling at me for like 45 minutes. He followed me all over. I ordered a pizza because usually we get lunch in. I'm like, Roger, you want some pizza? And I said, and at one point I said, Roger, I already apologized to you. It's not going to happen. It's over. He was upset. So next morning I get up, I take off and go do stuff and stuff like that. And I come back to work at 5 p.m. and I'm walking across the parking lot, and it's like, something's off.
Okay.
And everybody's kind of staring at you. And I go into the break room, and I'm sitting there reading the paper before I start. And the assistant general manager comes in, Bruce, and he goes, Luke, did anything happen last night? And I go, no, it was a pretty quiet night. And I'm sitting there, he goes, are you sure nothing happened? And I'm like, no, it was nothing. I said, oh, yeah, I scared the hell out of Roger. He goes, no kidding.
Because he had probably a 45-minute rant.
Oh, he came in, and the general manager, Al, and the CEO that owned all the funeral homes, and Al, the general manager, went in there and demanded that I be fired. And he's pounding on the desk and stuff like that. And the general manager says, we all work nights. You had no business being here. As long as the building's still standing when we're coming back, we don't care. Because it's they're working nights, just we don't mess with the night crew. And so he goes, either you fire Luke, and now I'm just a young little student. I'm not even.
You're like 19. Right?
Yeah. And he demanded that I be fired or he would quit. And they said, it sounds like you're quitting. And so Bruce goes, well, Luke, if that didn't get you fired, nothing will.
I guess. Right.
But it
was really great that he stood for you.
Yeah.
Because somebody else would have been like, you're out.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was, I did hard work and I did my job.
Oh my gosh, what a thing! And you thought the whole time it was your friend.
I thought it was the night manager.
Agent.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh well, I'm sure he's told that story many times.
I'm sure.
I wonder if he has a sense of humor about it now.
I don't know.
I mean, following you around, ranting at you. Can you imagine what he did when he?
Oh yeah.
Oh wow, that is quite. Thank you for sharing that story.
Yeah.
And then there was something kind of. You kind of hinted at a story last time you were here about Chicago and some sort of a hit. The mayor was involved in the Chicago. Yeah. This is way behind the scenes.
Way behind the scenes. So this is a town, and our mayor was being accused of being part of the Chicago Mafia because it was suspected that they were trying to bring up mob members through politics.
Okay.
So they would have their people in politics and stuff.
Political positions.
Well, there was a lady, Miss the Socialite, that was Miss Busybody, that got into everybody's business. Well, she was able to connect the dots. And so that was happening. Well, all of a sudden she was murdered. And so all the news channels are out there filming, and the police chief goes in and walks out with some boxes. So the police chief went to prison. They found the guy that did the murder went to prison, and the mayor was clean. They were still, this is you. Well, a couple years later, I get called out for another murder scene.
Ooh.
And this lady was killed in this. It was bad. But anyways, she was murdered. And you know, it's like, you know, and the police are all there and they're telling me how to go through the scene and all that. And, you know, all the news channels are out there filming. And so we put the body on, and all the police huddle up over the cot, you know, and we're going out to cover so nobody can get, you know, a shot. Well, apparently the news channels just got a perfect shot of me as I stood up to pick up the body.
Oh, no.
So, like, for a couple weeks, it was like, you know, my picture on all the news channels saying, you know, this happened. And I'm like, oh, please don't say it. If you have any information or know who this was, let us know.
No. Oh, unbelievable.
So that went for a while. And
that had to be fairly distressing.
Yeah.
See, I'm surprised that you don't need to take Valium every day.
Yeah. No, it was very sad to watch them.
No, I understand, but this kind of stuff could make one crazy.
Yes.
I mean, it's not only a difficult business, but when you get like your picture in the paper and it's like, no, that's not what you think. Wow, what a thing. Well, I just have to say, nobody knows this about you because all we know here in Sedona and the Verde Valley, we know that you're involved in the military. We know that you've served, and we thank you so much for that. And we know how very much you're involved with housing and just doing good things here in the community. But these backstage stories, I call them backstage because it's kind of a stage. You know, you have to kind of put on a happy face when you're working for a funeral home. I mean, that's tough stuff.
It teaches you a lot of patience.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, oftentimes, and I don't know how many people realize this, but as an entertainer, when you've got to go out to do a show, people don't realize that you are a living human being who's got all kinds of emotions and stuff's happening at home and things are happening in your family, and you still got to go out there and give them a show, right? And you don't want to do it in a phony way. You use it, you know, you use your emotion and everything. And this is really intense stuff. You know, you're dealing with people and all of that. Now, tell me, how has all of this experience helped you in your business?
I guess I'm a lot more patient. You know, I realize there's worse things that can happen. You know, it's like I got in a car accident. I go, okay, I got all my fingers and toes. Everything else can be fixed. You know, this is not something that is devastating because I've seen that.
Right.
And so everything else, if everybody's okay, we can fix it or whatever. So
has it helped you not to lose your cool even in business where something doesn't work well, or somebody that are working for you, like say an employee, makes a mistake, something happens, you're compassionate with them, as it was for you, right? When you had a situation happen, it wasn't what you thought it was, and it was just a bad, very bad moment.
Yeah, but on that, all of a sudden there was no more news on it, and 6 months later, it broke that the homicide or Crime Stoppers were getting leads, but the leads weren't going across the hall to homicide. And the lead suspect was the mayor's brother, who was a drug addict that they had put in a house. The mayor and the father put in the house and said, don't leave the house. Well,
my gosh.
He ran out of drugs and went to this dentist's office to get it.
That's going back to the Chicago story.
Yeah, so that pretty much ended the mayor's political aspirations after that.
Wow, what a kick. That's like a murder mystery.
Yes. Yeah.
It is. That's like, wow, who done it?
Yes, who did
and it ended up being the mayor's brother.
Yes.
What an interesting story. My goodness. So now I'm going to swing it back around.
Okay.
We're going to go back to where we were before the end of that story. So in your own life, have you ever lost it? Have you ever lost your cool? I'm curious. You know, because you talk about you're always so very calm. You're what we call a type B. And because of your background, you've learned to be that way, right? Because nothing can be as bad as, and all of that, because you've seen it all.
I think, what can trigger me is either lying to me or not admitting you made a mistake.
I agree with that.
Because I would tell my soldiers, I said, we all make mistakes, but it's not a problem if we recognize it. And if we recognize the mistake. Now we have a solution. And so when I have employees or soldiers that I would, want to, we had to recognize what we did wrong.
Right.
And it's not like the end of the world. You're not going to be beat up for it, It's when you deliberately do something that is there. But we all are human. We all make mistakes, and, we're not perfect.
So true. So true. So your compassion and your ability to do that obviously came from your experiences at 19 when you had somebody who was your employer actually stand for you and understand. You said, yes, I made a mistake. It was really not meant to be that. It was, wow. I'm so that's such a great story. That's so good. Yes. And I'm glad to note that you're able to take all that you've been through and that compassion, that empathy, and put it in the business that you're in, which doesn't seem to be like, this is a high powered gig that you do. And you're dealing with so many different factors, and it's not emotional. You know what I mean?
No.
Not emotional at all. It's a complete opposite of what your family was doing, and a very emotional business, right? And so you were able to take what you learned and apply it here, which is wonderful. I love it. I love it. My gosh. Well, Luke, I have to say thank you so very, very much. You always bring to the table, literally to this table here in the studio, some wonderful stories and human stories. Absolutely. We get to know who you are. Who is the civil engineer in Sedona and the Verde Valley who everybody, my goodness, everyone works with you. Everybody calls you.
It seems like it, yes.
I mean, we talked about the fact that you worked for Mariposa. You did that whole engineering there and everything. And now you're talking about the Cook Cemetery, since we're talking about this sort of stuff. What are you doing there?
Well,
what's happening?
We're trying to do a parking lot there, and also to clean it up. I think they're going to do some new fencing. They want to do some new fencing. I think Nate's working on that.
Nate from the Sedona Heritage Museum, yes.
And the Stevensons own, Mike Stevenson, Jen, and Colleen, that own Ambiente. They also own that corner, which so they own the land. So they're working with being able to put a parking lot in there so that you can still have services on the side and have decent parking and clean up the park that's after our namesake here for the city.
I know. It's wonderful that they're doing that. And as you know, we've done some performances in there as the cemetery walks that we did, Dev Ross and I, with different actors here as a fundraiser for that cemetery. It is, if you've not been there, let me just tell you, so you've got Sedona, the Purdymen are in there, just a whole bunch of different individuals that if you go to the Sedona Heritage Museum, which is off of Jordan Road, you can go to the Jordan House and really get to know a lot of what happened here. I mean, the roots, right? Sedona worked for the Jordans at one point, she and her husband, and a lot of those first-time Sedona residents are buried in Cook Cemetery and also Red Rock Cemetery. Yes. Which is near the Shorman House. And that's where Sedona wine started.
And talk about a little bit of the history there is that, when I was in college and doing different things, I always wanted to do something different. And there was a Hathaway outlet store at that big round building.
Yes.
And I wanted a job for the summer between semesters. Yes. And I said, I'll just go there. So I worked there a summer. So
that's cool. All right, we're going to have a little cliffhanger because we're going to talk about that next time you're here.
Yes.
And thank you so much again, Luke, for being here with us. Luke Sefton of Sefton Engineering, thank you so much for helping this show happen. I sure appreciate you being here too. Okay, we are going to be right back. Hang on with us. Sedona's Backstage Pass.
You can taste it in every bite. For over 30 years, Chef Lisa Dahl has redefined what it means to dine in Sedona, serving soulful, handcrafted cuisine inspired by love, artistry, and community. From the wood-fired kitchens of Mariposa to the couture flair of Butterfly Burger, every experience is elevated, every ingredient intentional. To learn more about Lisa Dahl and the Dahl restaurants, please visit cheflisadahl.com.
Need a clean car fast? Come to Cleaner, Quicker Car Wash. We'll have you sparkling and back on the road in minutes. Whether you're after a quick shine or a deep clean, you'll get top quality service, eco-friendly soaps, and smiles all around. Drive up, shine up, and feel good, all without slowing down your day, and look like a star in your car. Located in West Sedona on Highway 89A. For more information, visit cleanerquickercarwash.com.
Here's more of Sedona's Backstage Pass with Shondra, presented by the Doll Group.
Oh, thank you for staying with me. Are you in for a treat? Oh, this gentleman is world-renowned, I have to say. He's an award-winning photographer, and I have to say, I just adore your work. So many people do. I'm talking about Bob Coates. Bob, thank you for being here on my show today.
It's my pleasure, and even better now that I've heard that intro. Oh, my goodness.
And you have like an arsenal of awards. I can't believe how many awards you have. When you go to Bob Coates' studio and where he works, it is a studio that is adjacent to his home. I'm going to tell you, the entire, all the shelves up above, all around you are just filled with awards. It's outstanding. It's overwhelming, actually.
I am very fortunate. And, I've been very lucky over the years. And partly, the awards come from pushing myself to learn new things, to get new skills.
Well, this is what I love about you. It's one of the things I love about you. And I wrote it down here on my notes today, is that you are always learning, always growing, always expanding your knowledge and your talents. And that kind of resourcefulness and resilience and reinvention. I always talk about the 3 R's. Those are the 3 R's. And man, you are the epitome of that.
Well, these days you have to. Things are changing all the time. The technology is growing. Things are going faster. Matter of fact, I just, got some new gear. I'm starting to do videos for Professional Photographers of America for educational videos for them. And I actually got hired up to do it. So now I get to take my vehicle, which I call Shutter Buggy, and head out on the road. And it's Shutter Buggy rides, travel photography, and boondocking with PPA photographer Bob Coates. I'm so excited about putting that together.
That's thrilling. You've never done anything like that? Because I know you coach, you teach, you've been doing classes forever.
I've been doing bits and pieces of video, but never was I hired to create video for a professional organization like that.
Well, congratulations.
Thanks. I'm so excited.
Yeah, they couldn't have picked a better person. And it may just say Bob is a joy to be around. Tom and I both had an experience with you. We were taking our pictures for Soundbites Grill. Really fun, really, really fun. And you did all of those photographs of all the artists that were at Soundbites Grill. For those of you who don't know, Soundbites Grill was the only real showroom with professional sound and lighting and everything. And we had Relics, and we loved Relics too. And then Soundbites came, and it was like, wow. Yeah. But both places are no longer.
Yeah, they did a great job, but I did 130 8x10 images. I would photograph the entertainers while they were live. I would extract them out and then turn them into a piece of art.
It was wonderful.
It was great.
It was really great, yeah. So, but a lot of the work that you do are landscapes and just different, tell everybody what you do. What's your favorite kind of photography?
I specialize in not specializing, if that makes sense. I don't do weddings anymore, although I did do high-end weddings for a while. I still do headshots. I still do commercial work if it comes my way. My bcphotography.com site is up. I don't run out and say, oh, can I work for you? Can I, if it comes and somebody wants my skills, I'm happy to, if we can work it out, we can put it together. But mostly now I've found that my raison d'etre, or my reason for being, is to be an educator.
Right.
And almost everything that I've done, every job, everything that I've done along the way has been, I've been teaching people along the way. So now I'm doing Milky Way workshops here in Sedona. So I do a 3-day workshop, and people can find out about that on successful-photographer.com. And that's where my information for photographers and my teaching and my scheduling and stuff for that, if somebody wants to attend.
You do have so many websites. So you have successful-photographer.com. You have bobcoatesphotography.com.
No.
Yes? No?
No.
I have it wrong.
It's
oh my gosh.
It's bcphotography.com.
BC. I do have that one. I was Googling you, and I found all these websites. Oh, my goodness. Yes. And then there's also coatesart.net.
.net, yep.
Wow. And then, of course, you can find Bob Coates on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, pixels.com, and maybe Twitter? Or no?
No, I'm not a tweet.
Oh my gosh!
I'm
so appalled.
I just don't tweet. I'm not a tweeter.
Darling,
No.
what were you missing out? No, it's okay. It's all right. You got at least one that doesn't have you on it.
I'm kind of like horse poop. I'm all over the place.
It's good that you used poop.
Yes,
you
I
didn't
did.
have to strike that. All right. Now I met you for the very first time. I wonder, do you know the very first time we met? I remember.
Chamber?
It. Nope.
No. Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead. Guess.
No, you
go.
You
get 2 more guesses.
No, you go. Just
really?
tell me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I met you for the very first time at Canyon Moon Theater. It had to have been back around 2003 or 2002. And you were getting ready for a photo shoot. Actually, you weren't getting ready. The executive director, Mary Giraldi, at the time was getting ready for a photo shoot. And it was a little unusual. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, that was actually it was around 2004.
Oh,
because it was it was a calendar shoot. If anybody's seen the movie Calendar Girls, there was some ladies over in England who wanted to buy a couch for their waiting area at their local hospital, and in order to do that, they got together with a photographer and they did a naked calendar, but of course all the bits were covered nicely. And in the movie there would be lines like, the ladies behind the donuts and stuff, and she's standing behind there, and somebody says, "Oh, we're going to need bigger buns." Anyway, there was a lot of fun with that. And Karen Ely came to me and said, "Hey, have you seen the movie Calendar Girls?" I don't go to movies. I happened to see that one movie 2 days before.
Oh, my gosh.
I said, "Oh, yes, I've seen the movie." And she said, "Could you do that for Sedona Community, our Sedona Arts Center?" And I said, "Well, okay, let's see what would that." And we negotiated, and I basically charged, but I ended up donating all the money that I made from it back to the Arts Center.
How kind of you. That was for Sedona Arts Center.
That was for Sedona Arts Center.
Yeah.
And Karen had said after it was all over, they got so much press from that, whether it be locally, it was a ton locally, but nationally and internationally in the art magazines, they got like $250,000 to $300,000 worth of placement there. They said, even if we never sold a single calendar, that would have been, right there.
Yeah, you can't buy that kind of publicity.
Correct.
You could do that today,
Right.
You just met so Bob was coming in and he met the executive director of Sedona Arts Center, Julie Richards. So that, I don't know, just kind of put those things together just now, right now. You could talk to Julie about another naked calendar. Maybe.
I don't know. There was an awful lot of work. And,
was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And one of the reasons, people say, well, could you do this for us?
Mm-hmm.
Well, yes, if I believe in something, yeah, I may be happy to supply my services, but people don't understand the value of what you do. And that's why I initially said, you have to pay me in order to do this.
Yes, that's right. We all get asked to do things, right?
Tons.
And I think we have to kind of figure out, can I? Tom and I have always given back to the community, and we've always just said if we're available, we will. And yes, we want to be of service. And then, of course, when you're doing photography, it's not just showing up and taking the pictures, it's editing. It's so much. It's so much when you're doing this, correct?
Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize, could you come by and, just take a few
No, that doesn't
it just
work
doesn't
that
work that
way.
way. Exactly.
Yeah,
Well, it sounds like we've done this together.
Yes, it does, doesn't it? It really does, yes. Well, with us, it was always lugging equipment. It's like you go, sure, and then you go, oh, God, we have to bring a huge PA system, and you go like, wow, that was like a lot of work. But the thing is, I think all in all, people do value your time and talents. I know I do, and I know this community adores you. You've been involved with Meals on Wheels, with your dad and also yourself. You've gotten involved. Tell us about that.
Yeah, this started, my dad passed, I guess, when he was 84, 85, and he was still delivering Meals on Wheels to, quote unquote, the old folks at age 83. And when he passed, I said, hey, I'm going to pick up a route in your honor. Now, that was back in Pennsylvania.
Wow.
So I said goodbye, and when I got out here, I had taken a picture of his next door neighbor, his in his apartments, his next door. She was just a beautiful 90-year-old lady who just had tons of character, and I was like, I would like to make your photograph. Would that be okay? Well, yes, that would be okay. I'll see you tomorrow. I have to get fixed up. Okay. So I did her portrait, and I asked her, I said, is there anything really special and important to you that you would like to have as part of your photograph? She grabs her Bible and wraps her hands around it. Oh. And so I made, I did her portrait, but then I also zoomed in on her hands, and then I made a piece of artwork with her hands wrapped around there. Just had an emotional, thing. And I went to the Sedona Meals on Wheels Center, and I think it was Sue, I forget what Sue's last name was.
I know you're talking about it, and I'm forgetting. Sorry,
yeah.
Sue.
Sorry, Sue, but she's up in Washington, I think.
Okay.
Anyway, I went to her. I went to the committee there, or whoever, however they figure out who does what. And I said, I would like to sell this image and donate all the proceeds to the center. And we got it going, and we raised like $2,500. And then there was like the thing where, it was a Bible. And it's non-sectarian, and why is that Bible being this and that? So that kind of like poked a balloon in there. Well, Sue Barrington.
Ah, yes, Sue Barrington. I remember Sue. My gosh.
She was incredible.
I love Sue.
Anyway, she came back to me and said, well, could you do a different image for it? And I'm like, what could I possibly do? Maybe I could take a picture of a flower and not, make anybody angry.
Right.
And that put the thought in, and it became a calendar of flowers.
Okay.
So we did a calendar, raised about $15,000. And they were all art, basically it wasn't just straight photographs. It was artistic renditions that I had put together.
Wonderful.
And we managed to make more money from it because, as I've learned, you always share what you're doing. So I was at a PPA event where I was getting one of those awards.
Yes. And
there was somebody there, and I said, oh, yeah, I'm working on this calendar, and here's the images that I'm working on. And he looked at him and said, wow, that looks pretty cool. He says, I'm with Kodak, and we've got a new printer coming out, and would you be willing to let us use those images on the calendar if, we gave you calendars? And I was like, yeah, I can work that out.
Yeah, I
guess.
We'll
give you 1,000 calendars. I said, oh, no, that's not enough. I need 2,000 calendars. And he was like, I don't know. Eventually, I got 2,000 calendars.
Wonderful.
And we sold most of them, and we sold the back and sold advertising in it and everything.
Oh, my gosh. That's fantastic.
Anyway, there was a display in the bank of all the canvases. The canvases were for sale as well. Matter of fact, I think they still have some over at the community center that are hanging. If you want to buy one, I'll bet you they'll sell it to you off the wall.
That's great. Sedona Community Center. That's right. That is where Meals on Wheels takes place, and just incredible volunteers in this community. And thank you for doing all that you do.
Well, I get to spend every Thursday with my dad. I get to, go out, and I get to hug all the ladies.
Yes, yes. I'm sure they adore you. I'm sure of it. Well, what is coming up besides, I know, this big project that you're doing, all the film work and new toys?
Tools. No. Don't ever. They're not toys.
They're not toys.
They are tools.
They are tools. Okay. In my business, we call them toys.
Well, I have a wife. These are tools.
Okay. All right. Okay. I get your drift. All right. They're tools.
Okay. So I have my Milky Way workshops. I travel around the country teaching as well. I do online judging. I was just asked to help judge the Australian astro landscape photography contest.
My goodness.
When I was like, where did you hear about me? And
everywhere.
He gave the name of two people, and I was like, I never heard of those people, so now I have to look them up.
That's incredible. You've made it when that happens.
still out there plugging, still pushing.
I know, but that's, you have to also say, yes, I have done a lot. And a lot of great work, a lot of artistic work. What was the most difficult shoot you've ever done? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I worked with Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep. And Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep is portraiture of children who have passed in childbirth.
That was difficult.
Those were, that was very, very much so. And I served on the board with them for about 2 years and photographed for about 10 years. And then I went,
can't do that anymore.
I've done it. Yeah.
What was the most fun shoot you've ever done?
I don't know. Yours and Tom's wasn't bad.
I was going to say, for the exception of ours. Right. Okay. Just saying. What was the most outrageous? That most outrageous shoot you ever did?
I don't know if I have an outrageous one. It's almost, almost everything that I do has a little bit of something going on.
So do you still have that in awe feeling when you see something? I mean, I am not by any means trying to compare myself, but this little nugget, which anybody who loves to take pictures, and I love to take pictures, you see something and it hits you funny and like, or you're in awe of something. Do you still have those moments when you're on a walk, on a hike?
All the time.
Yeah, right.
I'm now getting paid to go do it with that job with BPA. I get to drive and go boondocking or car camping, if you will, and I drive to a place that I'm going to spend a day or two, or 2.5 days in that place, searching out, new images.
Fantastic.
And yes, and you need to learn how to see how the camera sees versus how our eye sees. We have one aperture in our eye, and the pupil goes up and down. So if we look into the shadows, when you look into the shadows, you can see it. But when you look up into the sun, you can see that too, or toward it, whereas your camera has one aperture. And sometimes you go, this is absolutely beautiful. And you take the picture and you're like, what happened to the sky?
Yeah.
This looks beautiful in the foreground. The sky is white.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Or the sky is perfect and the foreground is black.
Right.
No,
I know. But have you ever taken I know you've done this a million times, but I just recently took a picture of a rock that looked like a heart. And when I looked at the picture, it looked like a crystal because there was a shadow by it. Mm-hmm. And we were all like going, oh my God. Where something surprises you, where you didn't see something and it's there.
Oh, I call those happy accidents, and I look for them as well, for sure.
Yes. So have you ever had a situation where you took a picture and there was something that wasn't there, but it ended up in the picture anyway?
No.
You have not?
No. I'm
going to tell you something. I haven't told many people, but now I'm going to, all at one time. So I was at a friend's house who had a studio in a homestead. It was an actual homestead here in Sedona. It's no longer a rental, okay? And a historical one. And we took some pictures. I took some pictures of him behind a couch. And right there, and I kid you not, I'll have to find the picture and email it to you, there was a woman, a face of a woman, no doubt about it, with a body, photobombing this thing. And it happened 2 times in pictures. And we were like, there's no way. Okay, now you're looking at me like I'm mad. But I mean, seriously. And I have to tell you, I do kind of sometimes look to see, but this was not one of those moments. We were just going through the photos we had taken and was like, what is that? It was freaky.
Way cool.
There was stuff going on in that house. We also took pictures of a fireplace that was there, and there were things in there too.
I may have seen some things in the sky.
Okay,
but, because I spend a lot of time out underneath the stars.
Yeah, okay, tell us. We want to know.
Well, just patterns of lights that you're like, that's not helicopters. That's not planes. And I know what planes look like. I'm constantly editing them out of my photographs for the night sky because there's a lot of traffic. When you see the light kind of jump up here and then jump over there, and then there's 3 or 4 and they're going back and forth.
Have you been able to capture that?
No.
You've never tried?
Not really.
A video? Now that you're going on the road. I
call those neurochromes. Basically using the neurons of your brain to record them and hold them. Sometimes, the camera's not going to capture what you see.
Right. I wonder, though, would it have? Like, for instance, Bob came in to the studio today, and you have a new tool.
Yes.
Tell us about it just real quickly.
Okay. You basically mount your camera on there. It will travel and track you through a 360-degree circle. If you move up or down, the camera tilts and turns and follows you. It's pretty cool.
Okay. Now, you're going to go on the road. You're going to be camping out there. You're going to be doing some really cool stuff. Maybe, just maybe, your assistant over here to my right will pick those things up.
Who knows?
You never know.
Far be it from me.
You're going to have to report back,
I will.
to let us know, what happened out there. It's going to be interesting to see what you find out that way, because you never know, right?
I never poo-poo anybody's anything. When somebody says, "Oh, well, I saw," okay, you saw it.
Yep.
You're good.
In my case, there were two of us that saw it, and it's actually a photograph. Can't lie when you can't.
You may not want to show it to me because I may be able to explain it away, and then you'll be like, "Oh no,
I definitely won't show it to you now."
I like it better as the ghost.
Right? Exactly. I like it better as the ghost. It's so much more entertaining. Yes. So what else is going on now? What else? Oh, I want to talk about the endorsements. You've got endorsements. You have like Photo Pro.
Well, I work with a company called Platypod.
Yes.
Platypod is a camera support system that allows you to get your camera really, really low to the ground. I work with Photo Pro, which is a tripod company. And I keep my finger into a lot of different places. I write for a thing called photofocus.com. I write for magazines. Again,
Wonderful.
That's all part of my education and sharing.
Yes. So remember, everybody, if you want to know more about Bob Coates, I can't believe we've already run out of time. This is shocking to me, but not really.
Time always flies when I talk to you.
It is like amazing how things just go boom, they're gone. The time is gone. bcphotography.com is going to tell you everything that you need to know. I am sure you've got links to all of these other places on that, don't you? Mm-hmm. Okay, then I would just tell you to Google Bob Coates, and that's Coates. Okay, Bob Coates.
And in Sedona, because I have a namesake in Vancouver, Canada.
Okay.
And we have met at conventions now.
I was going to say, I thought you were going to say, have a doppelganger. And no.
We've lived separate. We've lived the same lives in separate parallel timelines.
Parallel times. That's right. Well, thank you, Bob, for being here. Everybody, remember, make sure you look up Bob Coates Photography. Bob Coates in Sedona. Thank you for being my guest.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
You guys stay with me. I'll be right back.
You've explored the trails, stood in awe of the red rocks. Now, discover how Sedona became Sedona. The Sedona Heritage Museum tells the story of Red Rock country, from ancient cultures to today's vibrant community. It's interactive, family-friendly, and open year-round, indoors and out. Sedona Heritage Museum, preserving and sharing the soul of Red Rock country. Plan your visit at sedonamuseum.org or call 928-282-7038.
Take a deep breath, then let it go. At Sedona's New Day Spa, your escape begins the moment you arrive. Enjoy luxurious massages, rejuvenating facials, and native-inspired body treatments. Every moment is designed to restore balance and renew your spirit. Voted Sedona's Best Day Spa, this is more than self-care. It's your sanctuary. Book your experience today at SedonaNewDaySpa.com or call 928-282-7502.
When your project demands precision, experience, and trust, turn to Sefton Engineering Consultants. From expert civil engineering to construction management, we deliver real-world solutions that stand the test of time. With over 30 years in the business, Luke Sefton's team is committed to getting your project done right, on time, and on budget. Sefton Engineering Consultants. Reliable, experienced, personal. Learn more at SeftonEngineeringConsultants.com. Here's more of Sedona's Backstage Pass with Shondra, presented by the Doll Group.
Well, this has been fun today. I have my sponsor, one of my sponsors, Luke Sefton, of course, Bob Coates, a great photographer. You know what that means? It's time for my shameless Shondra spot. All right. Now, I mentioned last Saturday that my new online video voice coaching program is now live, And it is. It's live and it's ready for all you singers, wannabe singers, including professionals. And you got to check it out. And this is what you do. You visit ShondraVoiceCoach.com. It's going to get you there. You're going to see 2 really fun doorway entrances that I actually created those doors myself. I love them. They're so much fun. I actually used AI. Okay, so 2 doorway entrances on that site. You click on the one that best describes you. So, for instance, if you're somebody who maybe used to sing or always dreamt of singing, had a fear of singing, but you really want to sing, or you just want to have fun singing, you'll click on that appropriate door. And then if you're a professional and you want to take your voice and performance skills to the next level, you'll see that doorway, click on it, and you're in that one. So, it's not just a voice coaching program. It also includes 5 modules of lessons, including one on confidence. It's got my tricks, my tools from the last and past 48 years and currently as well. That's going to help you get over, like, for instance, stage fright. If you suffer from stage fright or you don't know what to do when you get stage fright or something happens on stage or whatever, how to handle it, there's a module for that. So remember, ShondraVoiceCoach.com. Check it out and let's have some fun singing together. Thank you so much for being here with me today. And remember, you can always find these shows on mellowmountainradio.com. You'll find them all there. And if you have Apple Podcasts, you'll find them there as well. I want to thank my sponsors because without them, I couldn't do this show. The Sedona Heritage Museum, Sefton Engineering, Cleaner, Quicker Car Wash, Sedona New Day Spa, and my presenting sponsor, the Dahl Group, better known as Chef Lisa Dahl. And I also want to thank my guest, Luke Sefton. I just love this man. Such a great community individual. Wonderful. And also the phenomenal photographer, Bob Coates. Thank you guys for being here. Also want to thank my engineer and producer, Ryan Thompson. And I'm waving at him right now. I always like to do that when I mention his name. And the owner of KAZM, Chuck Helstein. Thank you guys. You always are so supportive and wonderful, and I thank you for that. Now I'm going to sign off right now. Make sure that you have your VIP pass for next Saturday and every Saturday at 10 a.m. on Mellow Mountain Radio 106.5 FM and 780 AM. And again, you can always listen to it streaming live at that time on mellowmountainradio.com and later on all those other podcasts. Take care, everybody. See you next week.